I got the fingernail for you.
Got the
Right,
Pikachu hat on.
We're recording.
Oh God, erase that,
All
please.
right. All right, we're gonna do episode 1 of Late to the Party movie reviews. We've got Jose throwing up his Rasa's hand signs in there. We got Isaac,
See.
Isaac and Lego and Jose from the Comic Cave sitting in with us today for our first episode. The premise of this show is to be doing movie reviews of movies that we know and love that are a little bit dated, the minimum of 10 years old for these movies. So, and we just want to look at them through today's lens and see if they hold up, if they seem dated, if they still seem relevant, if the effects hold up, and if the social commentary or the themes hold up as well. So our first movie that we're going to be reviewing is Starship Troopers, and this movie came out in '97. November 7th, 1997, and it was directed by Paul Verhoeven, who also directed Total Recall and RoboCop. It stars
no way.
Yeah. It stars
Okay.
Casper Van Dien, Dina Meyer, Denise Richards, Neil Patrick Harris, Jake Busey, Michael Ironside. It currently has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 64%, and on IMDb, 7.2 out of 10 rating. And it's based off of some books that were pretty much like required reading for the time in the turn of the century, the 20th century.
That's
You have
the
it
one.
there?
This is the one.
What is it?
It's got the Bible edition. Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Oh,
That's the
nice.
name of the novel. Yeah. Is it a collection of stories or is it a novel? I thought it was a novel.
It's a novel. This is Starship Troopers and Stranger in a Strange Land.
Okay.
Well, what are you guys' thoughts on this movie? Just like a general synopsis, like a review. Start with the general reviews, and we'll dig deeper.
Yeah. At first glance, having never watched this movie, it's crazy that you mentioned RoboCop because that was definitely what I was gonna hit on. I love the, when Dark Knight Returns, the way they used the news to kind of open up and fill you in with a little bit of a backstory as to what's going on, and then they do the same thing in RoboCop. That was Frank Miller, his contribution to the screenplay. And I definitely got those vibes off of this movie. But at first glance, man, I think it's definitely underrated. I'm so glad that I got to see it, now as an adult, so I could really appreciate everything that went into it. I mean, Chef's Kiss, baby. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. I don't care how bad people think it is. When you really look at the layers on it, God, man, it was so good. I love
like that propaganda. It had like that World War I style propaganda, like the news flash. There was a combination of like regular news with the internet. Do you want to know more?
Yeah, I like that
and
internet. Like that was ahead of its time for sure because the internet wasn't that easy to access like that with all those videos popping up so quickly and showing.
Yeah, at that time, it was just like chat rooms.
Yeah.
And you just kind of got your front page. You didn't get like specialized news like you do now.
If you wanted videos like that, that was like an hour and a half buffering to get one of those snippets, dude. And the way that there was just like playing, like that was totally ahead of its time to be showing that type of windows where you could be opening up a screen and seeing videos and see if you want to join more and all that. That was like totally something that you weren't really able to do with the internet. Unless there was other parts of the government that were allowing that stuff to happen back in '97.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jose.
Oh no, that's what I was going to say. It was the government's network that you were on. So they were controlling everything, they were feeding you. And definitely when they open it up with propaganda, there's no better way to use, it's definitely huge themes of militarism throughout the entire from what I've heard, the book and in the movie. So man, there was no sugarcoating it. There was nothing. It was straight up military propaganda. And the way
for sure. Even
yeah.
like the uniforms, like when Neil Patrick Harris came out at the end when they caught the brain bug, a 30-year-old spoiler alert or whatever. Yeah, they looked like Nazis, dude. They had like Nazi uniforms, so it was crazy, man.
That was the that was the fascist side of it. I think that they were trying to aim for. That there was unfortunately, that once you get to a certain point with military, control, it does start to become fascist, and just the disregard for human life that appears, that's very, throughout the entire movie. It's like, man, it's probably, I don't know, man. Personally, I know some people in the military, and they tell me the stories and a lot of stuff they go through and the experience, man. And I don't think I've ever heard more depressing stuff. And I think that was part of the theme, was that the guy Rico was coming from a wealthy family, and his father didn't want him to go to the military. He didn't want him to attend that. He had the money to go to Harvard. And when they're in the shower scene, they're talking about, if you're not distracted by the titties and the ass around, what they're talking about is actually pretty sad. When they're like, why are you trying to become a citizen? So apparently, in order to become a full-blown citizen, you have to do at least minimum of 2 years, but no, the oath that they take, it says, I will dedicate myself to a minimum of 2 years, but a lot more if the federation or if the government needs me. So it's really, you're signing up for an undisclosed amount of time. They tell you it's 2 years, but it's almost like that catch 22, when it's like, when do you know your time is up? It's like your time could be up, but you're going to continue to serve it because the federation needs you. So when are they going to tell you that you're good to go? It's almost like you're not. It's once you're in, you're in. That there's no way out. And you could tell that the dad's really desperately trying to not let him do that because they have the money to send him to school. And when they're in the showers, they're talking about, well, why are you joining up? And one of them is, I got accepted to Harvard, which is the same school that Rico got into. And he says, well, I can't afford to go, so I'm going to let the government pay for me. And the other girl says, I want to be a mom one day. And, you have to have the license for that. And citizenship is a fast track to it. So it's like the most basic human things that you want to do, you have to go through the military to really accomplish them. And it's like, whoa.
Be able to vote.
There you go. That's the other one.
Be able to vote, too.
Being able to vote, being able to do stuff in the government. All of those things, it's like, we really don't, we don't require any of that in the United States. And it's like, whoa, man, like that was like, ooh. When you're not distracted by all the like I said, all the titties and the booties walking around, you really get to like feel sorry for them. They're so, I don't know, man. Personally, I may be looking too much into it, but I've always felt like directors do stuff on purpose. And the fact that they're nude, they're exposed, they're vulnerable, and they're really sharing all these things, I think that has something to do with what he was trying to say. While they're showering, getting all the dirt off of the training camp and stuff like that. It was hardcore, man. Like I think this movie is definitely underappreciated, and I think it's definitely underrated.
Oh, it's a cult classic for sure.
I like seeing Hank from Breaking Bad in the movie. That was cool.
That was cool.
There was a lot of great actors.
And the definition of a citizen, right? When they're sitting in a classroom setting, he just rattles off what he had memorized. As a citizen, has the courage to make safety of the human race the personal responsibility. But then when he's at the funeral, after Dizzy dies, and his cadence when he says, a citizen has a courage to make the safety of the human race their personal responsibility. Like, you could see how it went from becoming words that he memorized to, like ingrained in who he was, having gone through that loss. And it made what it was to be a citizen that much more important, at that time. And then that showed his character growth to where he was able to walk with his homies from school again when they were talking about the the final attack on Klendathu, or not Klendathu, but well, the last was it Klendathu was like where the massacre happened, right? The first world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the first asteroid.
Was it Planet P? Planet P was the last. Yeah, Planet P
was
so
the one. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to go back and kick ass and take names after Dizzy died, but it was cool because he was able to meet back with Doogie Howser and Dizzy, and you know they're still young, but they're like the seasoned vets, and they get down on the planet, and then the next invasion force looks like 13-year-olds. You know?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I like how Rico kind of parroted his commander when he took charge. He was like, "All right, listen up, recruits. Like, this is what I ask of you," and it was like the same sort of line that he got when he was in that situation for the first time. That was cool.
Everybody fights, nobody quits. If you quit, I'll shoot you myself.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like all the stuff that George Lucas added to the Star Wars movies when he went back and touched them up. That was the same year that he did that.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I'm a sucker for.
A lot of that looks like all that digital. Like, it was so brand new, but it looked cool as shit back then. Like, it still holds up. I thought it looked good still.
No, yeah, definitely. Even the quality on Netflix, the one that they put out, it's solid. I'm a sucker for practical effects, and it was really cool to see that they were still using some of that, like when they were, after the massacre. And I want to talk about that too, because personally, I felt there was a lot of work and a lot of attention and a lot of emotion put into the scene. Well, how do you pronounce the planet? Klendathu? Like, people are gonna hate on me for saying this, but to me, that scene when they're just getting massacred and Rico's face and seeing everybody just get killed in front of them was like a parallel to something like Saving Private Ryan. And I was like, holy crap, like, this is actually freaking gnarly. And I think what he was trying to do, I don't, using the bugs, like you guys were saying, it kind of takes away some of that realism, because it's not
the human element,
but
it removes like an enemy compassion and whatnot.
But it still drove the point home that war is not something pretty, whether you're fighting another fellow human or you're fighting a freaking monster. I mean, these guys got decapitated, and kudos to the voice actors, to all the actors in that, because the screams that they yell out, those are freaking terror. Like, they're scared. Like, I'm about to be ripped apart. It's definitely not for the, again, because we're so desensitized to violence, I guess, in my opinion, and something like having a giant bug rip somebody apart, it adds that horror element to it too.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the bugs? I mean, they look awesome.
They look awesome.
For 1997 bugs, CGI, they look sick.
The horror show wasn't even the bugs ripping them apart. It was Rico's reaction to everything. Because, like seeing his whole platoon just get ripped up and everybody running back, and they're like, it's a general retreat, get the hell out. Like, all those actors were like doing a really good job of being scared. Like, they're trying to get the hell out of that battle. They're afraid at this point. They realize that we underestimated our enemy. We thought that because we're humans, we're smarter than these things, and they're smart. They know what they're doing. And we went in there with no plan, no support, no exit strategy, and they just got completely massacred. And like I said, those actors in my opinion, they did a really good job of driving that point home.
I like those big bugs that were shooting out the lasers out their backs, and they're like, oh, it's just like blue stream that's coming this way.
Oh, I guess that's their spores, I think.
Yeah, and they just started.
They doubled as artillery.
It just started destroying all those ships.
It's so cool that there's like a bug hierarchy, you know, like we have our lieutenants and our captains and all that, and all the way down, and they've got their own too, like, and they play on everybody's specialty. It's like it's an ordered system. They're not just mindless, like, hungry bugs. Yeah.
It plays on the idea of the noble savage. It's like they think, the military thought it was just their numbers that were overwhelming, but once you added the intelligence to it, like the fact that they sucked out the brains of everybody, that one, the mother bug or the brain bug, and it learns what the strategies are, and then you're like, what the fuck?
What about when it set them all up in that base? It's a
That was
trap.
sick.
That was crazy. All those bugs just showing up out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's like they sent in those drone bugs, you know, to kind of scout them out to see how many there are. And you thought like, oh man, that's pretty trippy. But then you realize nobody realizes that it was all a plan, that everything was, you know, they were doing something. And I'm telling you, man, this movie is definitely under. I'm so happy that I got to see it now as an adult. I at first impression, I was like, yo, man, let's see it, because I had heard different things about it. So we're like, oh, it's a horrible sci-fi movie. Oh, this and that. I'm like, let me see what it's about.
It was actually nominated for an Academy Award.
For the
really?
effects.
For the 70th Annual Academy Awards in 1998, it was nominated for Best Visual Effects.
Woo!
Nice.
That's dope. What I mean, just by comparison, what other movies came out in ¡97?
Go for it.
This is what Starship Troopers was up against at the box office. Number 1, Titanic. Right. That's a little bit. That's pretty brutal. And then Devil's Advocate. The Fifth Element.
Oh, the Fifth Element's good, dude. That might be
Good Will Hunting.
And that might be a good movie to do a show on. Let's see. Half Baked, like Dave Chappelle. Perfect. Volcano. That's a good one. Anaconda. Oh yeah. Oh, for those comic fans, let's see. Batman and Robin. That was when the bat nipple costume happened. Joel Schumacher, may he rest in peace. Yes. Let's see. The Relic. Donnie Brasco. Yeah, like Event Horizon. Event Horizon too. Anaconda. Ice Cube and J-Lo. Austin Powers. Dang. Jurassic Park: The Lost World. He got buried in all those movies. Disney, Anastasia. Dude, Men in Black. Gattaca. Austin Powers. Jim Carrey, Liar. 007, Tomorrow Never Dies. Spawn. Oh, Spawn. Face Off. Dante's Peak. Jack Nicholson, As Good as It Gets. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
We're going to be doing our rating on... our system is going to be 1 to 10 on spilled buckets of popcorn. So for me, I love this movie. I'm going to give it 9 spilled buckets of popcorn. You know, it's got sci-fi, it's got violence, it's got nudity, it's got undertones galore on it, and it's the kind of movie you can watch over and over again and pick up new things from it, and you still learn from it. So for me, you know, 23 years later, I still had a blast watching this movie, and I still picked up things that I didn't catch the first time.
Nice.
It's been that long for me too, because I watched it when it came to VHS, and yeah, a lot of stuff that I didn't catch when I was younger, because I was in like the 7th grade when I saw this movie. So I think the things that stuck out to me when I was younger was just the nudity, because I was young. But now, like, watching it as an adult, like, you see all that military propaganda and all that, and you're just like, damn, that was like shit that's just being shoveled down people's throats to make sure you joined. So yeah, I'd give it an 8. I'd watch it again and again.
Dude,
for sure.
Nice. I'd give it a straight 10. I can't see a damn thing wrong with this movie. There's so many layers, and like you said, when I was a kid, I didn't see it, and now going back, it's like reading a book and like holding a black light up and seeing a whole new message behind all the text, and it's like, whoa, there was layers there this whole time, man. Like, I like that. I like that they hid this message in, and I wonder how much that affected me as a 11-year-old or whatever whenever I saw it. So I'm gonna give it a 10, man.
Oh, nice.
I'm right up there with Lego.
Huh?
Yeah, no, I'm up there with
right.
Lego, man. Especially because that ending. It's, you guys were saying, you know, to me that was a really depressing ending, because it kind of what is the opposite of evolving, or, you know, coming of age? I think Rico is reverse. He goes from being this, you know, love-struck kid who, you know, has his whole life ahead of him, and then, like you guys said, he ends up repeating everything his drill instructor says. And what about the fact that it's the drill instructor who, he demotes himself just so that he can go back into battle? Because even though he's safe on the base training the new recruits, he just doesn't feel fulfilled in his life. He wants to go out there and put it all on the line again. And Rico at the end is seen going back into battle. It's almost like this whole never-ending cycle. And he, the fact that, you know, at the beginning, he's the one saying, I love you first to the girl. And then by the end, when he finally finds someone who truly loves him, he doesn't say it back. And when he's burying her, not once does he say, oh, she's the love of my life.
Oh, for sure. Good movie. Super solid. Okay, so we got to, let's everybody, I think moving forward, we should all, we may not have it for this one, but when we get together to film the next one, we should have a movie that we want to put into the hat for everybody to vote on. I want to propose a comedy for next time. It's Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It crossed over the 10-year mark. Also, if you guys are watching and you like the show, subscribers, let us know in the comments below if you guys want us to review any movies. It helps us tremendously if these movies are streaming somewhere. We have access to most streaming services for movies, so we won't have to try to go and the four of us in different houses find DVDs.
Actually, I do got one. I haven't watched it, but I've heard you fools talk about it so much. The one from How I Met Your Mother. Oh, Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, nice. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. So we go for the blood and guts and gore. Yeah, and that one, Weekend at Bernie's, you see that come up in so many memes, and even though it's an older movie, it still has a lot of relevance today. It'll help you catch up with that meme culture too. So that's cool. Anybody else got any ideas?
I liked Porky's.
You know, that's true. You know, those old timey '80s movies, the TNA '80s movies. You couldn't do those today.
You can't make that movie. You can't make that movie anymore nowadays.
Well, man, it's
Revenge to the Nerds too.
It's getting to the point where you can't really make anything, bro. I mean, didn't Steve Carell say you couldn't even make The Office today?
That's true.
That's probably true.
Like, it's getting there, man. I think that's why.
My movie.
You couldn't do I Love Lucy because of the Ricky Ricardo cultural appropriation.
Or
that's my people, man.
Or when you'd hit her.
Did he hit her? I don't think he hit her.
No, it was the Simpsons.
It was one off camera.
I don't know, Rick. I think you hit her pretty hard there.
We got horror comedy, or we've got you know what? Why don't we do this? We'll have it be between those two. We'll let the viewers decide. I'm sure if you want to do Fifth Element, let us know in the comments below. If you want to do Tucker and Dale, let us know in the comments below, and I'll share this, and I'll ask the question in the title, so that way if people don't have the tenacity to watch all the way to the end of our video, they'll at least know to comment and say what they want us to see next. I think that's how we'll do it. That's a good idea to do it moving forward. And then we'll just try to come up with a new one. Everybody come up with one, and then we'll let people vote. And that's how to get the wrinkles out. But it was fun, guys.
Definitely.
I'm glad you guys liked the movie. I'm really glad you guys liked the movie.
It was awesome.
It's a great movie.
Now Nate, I need to find the DVD.
I do want to put out there that if you guys really want to be, if you want your high to come down and you want to go to bed disappointed, try to look at some of the Starship Trooper sequels, because they're fucking horrible. Yeah, just stay where you're at. Just stay up there.
Yeah, the bar is up
here. It's like
here.
Star Wars. Don't watch the Disney ones. It'll take something from you. Yeah, Isaac, you can sign us off. You're pretty good at that. Until then. We got to make sure Jose's talking first too, and then you got to cut him off with until then.
All right, guys. This was Late to the Party. Until then, I'm Isaac. I'm
Jason.
I'm wondering what's going on over there.
Is that Jose. A flirkin? You have a flirkin?
Got a flirkin.
I'm Nick the Great looking at that flirkin. And we'll see you guys with a new late to the party next week.
Out.
Deuces.
Dope.
The horror show wasn't even the bugs ripping them apart. It was Rico's reaction to everything, because like seeing his whole platoon just get ripped up and everybody running back, and they're like, it's a general retreat, get the hell out. Like all those actors were like doing a really good job of being scared. Like they're trying to get the hell out of that battle. They're afraid at this point. They realize that we underestimated our enemy. We thought that because we're humans, we're smarter than these things, and they're smart. They know what they're doing. And we went in there with no plan, no support, no exit strategy, and they just got completely massacred. And like I said, those actors in my opinion, they did a really good job of driving that point home.
I like those big bugs that were shooting out the lasers out their backs, and they're like, "Oh, it's just like blue stream that's coming this way."
Oh, like that's their spores, I think.
Yeah, and they just started.
It doubled as artillery.
It just started destroying all those ships.